Hello everyone, my name is Chris, I'm with StickerFab. Today we're going to install a K&N 77 series intake on our 2024 Toyota Land Cruiser. Alright, so let's get both of these vehicles backed up outside of the garage. This installation video will work for the 2025 and up Toyota 4Runner, 2024 and up Toyota Land Cruiser, and 2024 and up Toyota Tacoma. Of course, these are all built on the same chassis and have similar parts. The only difference with the Land Cruiser is that it does not have this intake duct, so you will not have to remove it. On the Toyota Tacoma and Toyota 4Runner, all you have to do to remove this is push down these little clips, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 to remove it. And then the way these clips work, to reset them, you just push that little thing all the way through, stick it back in there, and then you push that flat. From an engineering standpoint, the only thing I can think of is that when Toyota made that platform, considering it's a global platform, basically called the Prado in the rest of the world, that people would be driving that in harsher environments. So they didn't want the air to come in the front and go straight into the intake with a lot of dirt and debris. So they only use the fender intake for the Land Cruiser. If you guys want to know some of the differences between the intakes, the 63 series and the 77 series, please watch my install video for the 63 series. I cover that in the beginning. The differences aren't really that much, and they're done on different vehicles, different times, with maybe different dynos, so please keep that in mind. If you guys are wondering, this is a custom acrylic lid that I've cut for this, and it is also available on my website. Alright, so if I was a betting man, I bet that this 77 series will install quicker than the 63 series because we don't have to take out this plastic intake manifold. There were vacuum lines going into this, it had a gasket that we had to transfer over, and it had an electrical wire that was clipped into it as well. Alright, now we're under the hood of the Land Cruiser. You can see that it doesn't have that intake duct, and you can see that plastic intake manifold that I was talking about earlier. This install is the same for both the hybrid and just gas vehicles. Because we have a hybrid vehicle though, to connect our negative battery terminal, we're going to have to go into the back, and on the driver's side, it is located right here. Now, I suspect there are two reasons why K&N might want you to disconnect this. Basically, a lot of the times when you're messing around with electronics, they don't want anything to be possibly grounded out. So that's one reason. And number two, they might want the ECU to kind of reset and relearn how much air is coming inside of the vehicle and take that into account. All right, before we really get into this install, K&N provides these paper instructions, which is nice. They also have a parts list. As with all products, if they have a parts list, I would go ahead and inventory everything you have and make sure you have exactly what you need to get this install done. You don't want to tear your vehicle apart and realize that you're missing something that was really important. All right, let's also check out what tools I have. I have a 1/4-inch ratchet with extension. I have an 8, 10, and 12. You also want to have a flathead screwdriver and a Phillips head screwdriver handy. The 8mm is actually what I'm going to use on the hose clamp. I won't be using a flathead on there. The 5/16 actually might fit better, but 8mm will get you by as well. Let's go ahead and add a 10mm deep socket and very sharp scissors to that list. Also, keep a bunch of Allen wrenches handy because you're going to need one. I think this one is 3/32. Oh yeah, add a tape measure to that. Just for reference, obviously on the gas engines, your negative battery terminal is right here. All right, right off the bat, we do need that 12mm on this negative battery terminal. And a good sign that that worked is that your interior lights will cut out. All right, for the Tacoma and 4Runner, this is where K&N calls for you to remove that intake duct I was talking about earlier. Next, we use that Phillips head to remove the mass airflow sensor. Let's actually unclip this first. K&N provided their own hardware for the 63 series to mount this up on their adapter plate, but let's just move this to the side and make sure we don't lose any of these bits. Next, they'll want you to take a flathead and remove this wire. I thought you would go in from this side with the clip, but I'm actually going in this side, just prying up on that. You'll kind of just fillet it open and move your wire. Now we're going to disconnect this intake hose by loosening up this hose clamp and After I do that, I should be able to remove the entire airbox assembly. This is a 10 mil. In another video, they loosened this up on the top and then they took the top of the air intake box off first. With the 4Runner, it was easy to remove the entire thing, so I'm going to try this first. All right, so just kind of go back and forth with it, push it forward and back, twist it left and right. And just pull this whole thing out. All right, there are 3 mounting posts that this sat on. You're gonna remove all 3 of those. This one, the rubber gasket didn't come off with the intake, so I'll have to remove that first. While I'm getting these out, I can note that you also don't have to remove the charge pipe with the 77 series. It's not hard to remove, it's just another item that you have to put back. However, when I was removing those, I realized how easy it is to remove, and that will give you the opportunity to decide whether or not you want to get aftermarket charge pipes on your vehicle. K&N actually does offer a set. There's the cold side and the hot side. Super easy to remove, and if I recall correctly, K&N quotes about 5 to 6 horsepower gain on those. All right, I bet everyone's a comedian and thinks they know what 8 inches is, but I behoove you, go ahead and get out a tape measure, measure 8 inches on this hose that they provide. The overall length is 40 inches, and cut it off, Lorena Bobbitt style. All right, 2 things. My kids really hate when I wear sandals and socks. 2, I'm holding this the same way they have it pictured in the instructions. You're gonna use that 8-inch piece right here on the bottom, and then there's this notch. So you'll start here and use the rest of it right over there. Now be sure you're not pushing this down into concrete or anything like that, because you will scratch off the coating, and that's purely for aesthetics. All right, when you're completely done, this is what it'll look like. Then they want you to install this filter adapter onto the metal heat shield. So you just install it like this, turn it around, and then you'll use these 10mm bolts. Hand tighten them into there first, then get that 10mm socket and tighten it down. No torque specs have been provided, so just make sure it's tightened pretty firmly. You don't have to really crank down on it hard. All right, then we install our little cutesy K&N badge right here. It pops in, turn it around, and then use this little plate that comes with it to secure it. All right, so I was going to install the filter because that was the next thing in the directions, but I actually don't remember the 4Runner having this little adapter for the fender. So I'm gonna take that out because it's going to get in the way of that filter. I looked on the 4Runner and I'm pretty sure that part was either not present or attached to a slightly different airbox. It's just held on by 2 bolts. Did I mention they were 10 mil? I'm probably going to move this clip to the front of my video so you guys don't have to push on your heat shield like this if you have a Land Cruiser. I already have everything else set up, so I might have to remove a few things if I wanted to gain access to this bolt without pushing on the heat shield. So that duct actually connects to another duct that goes deeper into the fender. And this portion looks like this. All right, so now we take that heat shield and we install it right here. We're going to use 2 of the original 3 mounting positions for the original air intake. We're going to put a 10mm bolt right down in here. And then we're going to put a 10mm bolt right back here as well. Once you've hand tightened those into there, use your 10mm wrench, tighten that one up, and of course, tighten that one up as well. All right, so they give you 4 hose clamps total. One, you can read a 32 right there, and the other, it says 38 to 89 pretty clearly. The smaller ones you want to use on the intake manifold side over that plenum, and the larger ones you'll use on this filter adapter side. Now you're going to install the straight hose coupler right here onto that little plenum of this intake manifold. You want to slide that onto there, make sure it is seated front and back, and then use one of those hose clamps, get it in there, use that 8mm to tighten it down. Now remember, when you're using a ratchet on these, you're really cranking down on these harder than you imagine. You can take a normal flathead and see exactly how tight you're getting it, but don't crank down on that too hard or you can break these. After that, take the supplied hump coupler and you're going to install this onto that intake filter adapter. You're going to want to slide a hose clamp on with it. I think the side with the text is smaller. I put that side right here, and this will connect to that pipe that goes from there to there. Now K&N wants you to install the mass airflow adapter onto their intake tube. Don't worry, there's no way you can get this wrong. It only goes on one way. If you put it on backwards, the holes will not align properly. They do supply their own hardware, and this is where you need those Allen wrenches. Make sure you don't cross thread that. All right, I don't know if the coating on this made it kind of hard to get these in, but there we go, both installed. Now we get to install the intake tube onto the vehicle. Take your smaller hose clamp and go ahead and put it on that plenum side, and then take the larger one and put it on that filter adapter side. And now we get to snake that intake pipe in between those couplers. I would seat it on one and then kind of twist it into the other. All right, so there are probably a bunch of ways to skin this cat. For a second, I was actually wishing that I hadn't tightened down all these heat shield bolts, those 2 bolts that we did earlier, because this is a little bit of a tight fit. So what I did is I put it on this adapter side first, I pushed it in there, and then I kind of pulled it towards me and finagled it back and forth, and then pulled the lip of this coupler out with my fingers, because you don't really want to wedge anything metallic in here. You'll just scrape up this pipe. So keep playing around with it, and then you want the orientation of the mass airflow sensor to be pretty much parallel to the ground with the connector sticking straight out. And then you can go ahead, take that connector below the pipe and install it. All right, once you get that in there, of course, tighten everything down. All right, last step for us Land Cruiser owners, and second to last step for you 4Runner and Tacoma owners. Go ahead and slip the new air filter over that air filter adapter, just like so. I decided to tighten this down a little bit before I did that, just so that I wouldn't have to crank down on this so much with the ratchet. Just make sure everything is seated. This hose clamp is kind of in the middle, and then tighten it down. Put a little force on it, make sure it's on there, then you're done with that step. And of course, for you 4Runner and Tacoma guys, go ahead and reinstall that duct. Earlier I told you how to use these pop clips. Just push them all the way out, and then once you get them seated, push them flat, and that's it. Of course, go ahead and reconnect that negative battery terminal. Once you're done with that, go ahead, turn your vehicle on, and then listen for the sound of air leaks. All right, that was a little weird. With the power lift gate, to get it to work again, what I had to do was go inside the vehicle, turn it on, and then I turned it off, and then on the screen it said, unlock doors to lift rear lift gate, or something like that. So that's what I did. I unlocked the doors, and then I used the button, lifted that lift gate up again, and then I was able to use the button and close it. But initially it wouldn't close. All it did was beep at me. All right, like I said, go ahead and listen for air leaks. And now it's time to go on a little bit of a test drive. All right, to hear the sound of the turbo, it doesn't require that we drive fast really, but it requires that the engine be under some load. So I have to go out the front entrance of my neighborhood real quick. Just put that microphone close to the window. Alright, first observation is that the throttle response does feel a little bit quicker. And there you have it. That was the install of the K&N 77 series on the 2024 Toyota Land Cruiser. Please feel free to pick up the 63 or 77 series for your 2024 and up Toyota Land Cruiser, 2024 and up Toyota Tacoma, or 2025 and up Toyota 4Runner at my website at stickerfab.com. Please like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you have not already, and hit the bell notification icon for the latest and greatest stuff I'm coming out with.